Hello, ladies. How are y'all doing today? You guys hear me? All right. I am ready to go. In the infamous words of Jamie Foxx, I'm ready to go. All right, so let's get started with our day two. Let me share my screen. Thought I had it all ready to go, but looks like I just need to get this one thing up and going. Let me share so you guys can see everything. All right, so hopefully you guys can see my screen okay. Get the chat up. Make sure I'm not missing. All right, perfect. You can see. All right, so welcome to day two. Super excited to be here. I've been on a roll as my second training for the day. And so we are going to continue the conversation as we did yesterday. So let me make sure I am also where I need to be. Let's check. And then I think I'm gonna go here. Yep, perfect. All right, so yesterday, let's just do a recap of what we, actually, I think that was, start there. We're on day two. Okay, so let's do a recap of where we were yesterday and what we went over yesterday. So yesterday we went over setting up the business. So making sure that you had some key decisions in terms of communication set up. You defined exactly your methods of communication and what it would take to actually get those things set up. We had a really good conversation about external and internal communication methods. And really, our number one goal is to ensure that we have automated the movement from external communication to internal. And then we talked about making sure that we identified what we wanted to get set up and that we work on setting that up. And today, what we're going to be focused on is how to actually automate that process and to see what's available for you in terms of done for you automation that we have inside of the system. But before I start, I always like to ask, kind of based on your participation yesterday, what were some of the things that you found to be enlightening or were aha moments for you all yesterday? So you can put it in chat or you can come off of mute and let me know, what did you enjoy about yesterday's training? What were some of the things that you thought, oh, wow, I'm glad that, we went over that yesterday. What were some aha moments that you guys may have had yesterday in the training?
Hey, Sundey, this is Tabitha.
Hi, Tabitha.
For second time today, girl.
Our role today.
So for me, one of the things that really, I wouldn't say I didn't think it was a problem, but you made me realize it was a problem. And I was going through it at the time of your webinar yesterday, was automation being in one system. Communication, like when you mentioned about somebody might ask you a question or hit you up on Facebook Messenger or a text message or an email, you're looking for that. And I
Yes.
was just out on a trip and I had gotten back yesterday morning. And while I was gone, I was trying to just keep track of all the stuff that was coming in, but I wasn't actively working everything that came in, just the things that I really needed to.
Yeah.
And it was, I was searching high and low for one communication that I knew I'd seen it
I
somewhere,
saw
but I couldn't
it.
remember where. And I was like, man, I said, you must have been looking over my shoulder because that resonated with me so much. And I was like, okay, yeah. So that was one major takeaway. I didn't realize I really, really needed it until yesterday. And
So
then you
yesterday,
came right back. I said, okay, I'm listening.
those
So
dots are
thank
for
you. I
sure
appreciate
connected.
that.
Yes,
Yes.
and Tabitha, thank you for coming off and actually showing your face and telling me that, because I think it's something that we experience, and after the moment's passed, we forget about it until we get into a crunch again, right? So you were out of town, we're about to go out of town, and I don't know about you guys, but I get a lot of email, and it's mostly suppliers, but I get at least 100 to 150 pieces of email per day, from suppliers, clients, and just stuff. I can't consume all of that. So what comes in my personal inbox, I really want to take care of my clients, right? I want to make sure that that doesn't get lost in the noise of everything. And let me tell you, I've got filters, I've got software that's supposed to filter out my mail, I've got other people, siphoning mail, and I still miss stuff. So that conversations tab is so important to me and how I run my business as well. So it just takes one time for you to miss somebody's message and you're like, or like you said, I know I read it. I know I saw it. Where is it? Right? Where is it in all the million ways that people connect to me? So I appreciate you coming off of mute and sharing that. So that's good. And so that's what we really aim to do, is help you all with this very problem and consolidate the conversation. And, Tabitha, you gave the example of, somebody, I don't know where they are in the booking stage with you. I don't know. Are they pre-booking? Have they already booked? Are they on trip? Where are they in the journey?
It was it's pretty much the beginning, but she was making her deposit at the
Mhm.
time. And she had a question before making the deposit. And again, I seen it, but I didn't respond to it. I did text back to her or respond back to her with the answer. So the next thing was to get the response, but I really wanted to go back and read it again since I was like settled and
Yeah.
more focused on the task. And I couldn't find it for the life of me at the time. Now I did find it eventually, but I was searching high and low for it, and it did take a while because there are so many communication outlets that we have, and people will reach out to you on certain things. And yeah, the fact that the system will consolidate that, oh my God, I was like,
That
bravo.
right there. Now, we can't do anything about you forgetting the person's name, because that's my other problem is that, I know it's in the system. Now I got to remember whose name was it that I need to find the issue with. So I'm super glad again. So thank you for sharing. I really appreciate that. And so
You're welcome.
for everyone else that's watching, this is really what we're talking about this week, is really focusing on that communication component, no matter where they are in the journey. And so in Tabitha's example, the person is pre-booking, right? So you're communicating with people before they've made the deposit. Well, what if you got busy and you forgot that the person even said something like, I'm getting up there in age and I remember it, but I may remember it a day or two later. But what I do now do is I check conversations every day. So even if I may forget something, like I literally forgot something last week that I was supposed to do. And I went back in conversations and I went back to my notes and I was able to find it. So I've minimized, again, the different places I have to look to remember to do stuff, or where task conversations and all of that occurs. So this is what this week is all about. So what I want to remind you all is if you'd like to get the 14-day free trial, we are doing that, and we are enrolling people this week. And when you do enroll and sign up for TravelPro Suite, you will get a onboarding call with one of our onboarding specialists. We will get your account set up. We want to make sure that you're successful out the gate. You will get done for you travel request blueprint set up. We actually give you access to all 5 of the workflows that we have available in the system, and we have matching master classes to go with them. But we actually love for you to start with the travel request process so that you can get that set up and be done with it. Take in your custom fits and have the workflow completely set up, and then you're done and you can move on to more exciting parts of your business. To get that trial, all you have to do is go to onlinetravelboss.com/sweet success trial, and you'll be able to sign up for our 14-day free trial. Now, our agenda for this week is yesterday we went over setting up your communication channels. What channels should you and can you set up? And then today we're going to really focus on automating those conversation channels. What is automatable, so to speak, what we've done for you already. And we're going to go over just the whole concept of what it means to automate. And we can do more than just automate emails. We can do a whole slew of other automations for you as well. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about how we get eyes on your stuff. And so that is how we will end our week. And so today what we're going to do is talk about really client communications and the type of communications that we are going to have inside of our business, and really how we handle that inside of the business. We're going to talk specifically about the OPUS, the Operations Pillars of Success booking communication. So this is assuming a person has said yes to the dress, so to speak, or yes to travel. What do we do, and how do we pick up that communication? And we've got a lot of done for you communication from that point forward. And then we're going to talk about setting up the system for automation, major workflows that we've got built for you, and then really configuring communication methods, some things that you want to consider as it relates to the methods that we have available inside of the system. And so with that, what I'm going to do is I am going to go back here, and I'm going to go back to our little checklist and show you kind of what we've got going on today. So I will be sending this out as a part of our final day, this checklist, so that you have it and you have it available. But the first thing that I want to talk about is just the whole idea of what client communication is. In my mind, communication really falls into two buckets. Either I need something from you, or I need to provide information because they need something from me, right? So you need something where you need to ask and get some information, and we are really doing our best to, we're in the travel business. I'm a travel business coach. I do training. So I have a travel agency. I travel myself. So I understand uniquely the types of information as a standard that we need to collect. So we've tried to standardize that as much as possible. And the way that we collect information from clients is, if it's a standard piece of information, we want it back in a standard way. So what we'll do is we will send out to clients or request clients to fill out forms or surveys so that we can get that information in a standard way. We can use those standard data points as ways to check the validity of a client's record. We can use that to check to see if we're missing information. We can use that to communicate certain information to clients at certain points in the workflow. So the collection of information from our clients, we do that in a standard way. And that is through forms and surveys. And I'm going to show you what that looks like in just a minute. But then there's always the time where you need to provide information. You need to give your clients information about trips, payments, frequently asked questions, things they need to know about the destination, the property, you name it. We are an information hub. And so there are times that we want to send out, and what I'm really talking about is not marketing information, right? We're not trying to get them to buy something. We're trying to communicate the management of their booking record. Now, don't get me wrong, there, depending on which stage a person is in the relationship with you, you may be sending out marketing information. Maybe you want people to know that you exist and how much of the bomb.com you are. And so that's still a relaying of information. And there's a multitude of ways that we can provide information. When we're in the booking phase, we provide information in two most critical ways. We do that through the form of email or text messaging, or we also use a community to relay and provide information. We in the past have used Facebook communities as a way to, when we're doing group trips, we used to create a Facebook group for every trip and we would communicate that way. We also use WhatsApp as a way to communicate. So we use other platforms also as a way to provide information. Whichever that you decide, and I'm going to show you a couple of those methods and ways that you can do that. Whatever you decide, if it's standard and that is your process, try and automate as much of it as you can. One of the ways, a way that we provide communication is through Zoom meetings too. So we schedule appointments for our group trips. We do a meet and greet before, usually 30 days before the trip, and we host a virtual meet and greet, and we have everybody who's attending join. We relay information and we make sure everybody understands what they can do. So meetings are also a really great way to provide information as well. Same thing with people getting, reaching out to you in multiple ways. You want to make sure that you provide information in multiple ways as well, because people are visual, they are auditory, they like to receive information auditorially, right? So like you need to talk to them, and they also like to read things, right? So seeing somebody in person and having a conversation is sometimes important for people. Talking to them, reading it, you want to provide information in a multitude of different ways. I did skip though on collecting information. You also want to ask for information more than once. So just because you asked for, let's say, the passport information and you didn't get it, you want to do that on autopilot. Like you want to, like if you ask for passport, they didn't give it to you in the travel profile and you still need it, you want to ask for it again. You want to ask for it again, right? So don't be afraid. I had a client tell me one time is, you know what, Sundey, the amount of communication is that you provide is too much. And I'd rather be accused of providing too much information than not enough information, because the worst thing that can happen in the kind of business that we have is that we don't say something we should say, right? We omit some bit of information we shouldn't have omit. Now, hopefully you have errors and omissions insurance and that will cover you in the event that some error like that. But we are a .I cross T type of business. That is the service that we provide. We make sure everything is covered. So as such, over communication is never a bad thing. The thing that you want to do is make sure that you give it to them in the way that people can consume them. If you know that they're not going to read email, do you have text messages available to them? Again, do you have a meeting? What are all those different ways of communicating? So I'm going to actually show you the forms and the surveys that we provide out of the box. So inside of our system, and this is what you're going to see inside a TravelPro suite pretty much all the time, is you're going to see things categorized into these 5 steps. You're going to see them categorized into step 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, which represent the pillars of success. And so when it comes to really the booking phase, we're talking about the client booking, step 4. So when we look at forms that are in step 4, here are the forms that we have available for client booking that are already designed for you, so you don't have to go in and create them. So we have a passport information form. We also, I don't think I've released this yet. I may have released it. I think we have a destination interest group travel form. So this is somebody who is expressing interest in a destination. We have a template already available for you for that. But your passport information form, This is assuming a United States passport. So we have designed the form in the same order of fields that is on your passport, because that actually used to drive me crazy. I'd fill out somebody's passport information and the data was all over the place. I'm like, okay, well, which field are you looking for? So we actually designed this collection form in the same way that the United States passport has it designed, so that they're collecting it. That's just a little nuance, but it's something that used to drive me crazy. We have a passport and flight confirmation. So if your clients are actually booking their own flights and you need that information, we've got a passport and flight confirmation, so that you can capture their flight information so you can arrange their transfers. And then we have a flight only information. So in the event, I don't know about you guys, but there are so many times that people will tell me, I haven't booked my flight yet. I haven't booked my flight yet. So, maybe they've done the passport, but they haven't provided the flight information. We've sort of separated those forms out so that if you ever have to send out the flight form, you can just send out the flight form as well. So these, again, are available to you when you get your account created, and are available currently in your account underneath forms, underneath home, underneath the step 4 folder. Now you see this Bali, this is a training destination one that I've done. One of the trainings that we do is group bookings. And so we use this in the group booking. So I explained to you how to utilize this template. We also have some training on if you want to create one completely from scratch, we have the ability to do that as well. And so these are the forms that we have available to you. And then we also have surveys. And so let me just, before I go here, you can build a form pretty easily. All you have to do is click on add form. I'm not going to spend too much time on showing you how to do that, because we have a lot to go over tonight. But the add form, we have templates that you can use to create the forms, or you can create it from scratch. And so this is very easy functionality to create your own form. So if you have a form of your own that you want to create, and you've got some special fields, you can customize those fields, and you can also add images and conditional logic and that kind of stuff. Now, the other thing that's available is you can actually see who submitted a form. So anyone that's ever submitted a form, you'll be able to see that in the submissions field here. In addition to it living with the client record, you'll be able to see what forms have been submitted. But if you're ever looking for a form and you just want to look at, okay, I'm looking for a travel request form and I want to see who submitted and I want to look for it, you can do it right here underneath the submission tab. Now, a survey, the difference between a form and a survey is a form is usually a long document. It's flat. It doesn't have pages. I traditionally will use a survey when I have a lot of information I need to collect from a client. Let's say I'm doing our travel profile. That is done in a survey as opposed to a form, because I don't want people to look at it and look at all the information that I'm asking and be like, I got time for that. So I kind of trick them into filling out the form. So filling out the information. And so we do that in a survey. And you can also make surveys. The beauty of a survey is you can make a survey graphically as pleasing as you want, in terms of backgrounds, imagery, and really, making things look really pretty. So when you think of surveys, if you've ever used any tool like Jotform or SurveyMonkey, you've ever done SurveyMonkey is a way to do reviews, you can do that in here as well. So I'm going to go to our, doesn't matter, client booking. We've got a couple of surveys that are already available to you. So these are actually the same survey. We've just versioned them over the last several weeks, months. But this survey is, and I'm going to show you this survey, because this is our traveler profile. And so this is what we give to our clients once they have made a payment. So once they've said yes to the dress and they've made a payment, we ask them to fill out the traveler profile. at the request of some of our clients, based on, this was usually asked every single time, but now, our clients said we only need a travel profile update every 365 days. So this is once a traveler profile is complete, it's going to check to see if we already have a profile on file. If so, then it won't ask them for the travel profile again for their situation. And then even on the group booking, we give the option of the client to opt out of filling out the profile and then saying that they already have one on file. So again, the way that the surveys are done is that the surveys are done by pages. What we did for our travel profile is we have created the page and grouped it by major types of information that we want to collect for the client. One of the things that are really good about surveys is, let's say this last question here, which is asking, are you going to book your own airline flights? And if they answer yes, they are booking the flights, then we don't ask them airline specific questions, because as the advisor, you really don't care, right? You don't care where their flight seat requirements are, their locations and all that. So we skip over that based on the answer to this question that they give. So if they say that they are going to book their own flights, we skip this completely and we go to the next section. The passport information is not required at the travel profile. Someone can skip the passport information, requested information, and we will then check again at a later time if they don't have a passport on file. We, as a standard process in our business, we want to have our clients' passport information on file in the event that something happens and they need a copy of their passport and they don't have it. They could always contact us and we have a copy of their passport available to them. We can give them two. And then this has got personal information on it. And then I think I'm showing you our old version. And if additional travelers are going to be going, we've got a new feature that's going to be releasing this month where we're going to be asking, we've expanded the special considerations for clients. So mobility considerations, we're adding mobility questions and special needs questions to the profile so that you can capture that information associated with the client at the time that they are doing their booking. Again, so this travel insurance, one of the things that we're doing too, it's, again, depending on your own business process, we as a part of our quoting process, we include travel insurance quote as a part of that. So we know when we get ready to do a fit, if somebody is going to accept or decline insurance. However, if you're doing a group booking, you may not, you may not include insurance in your group booking. So either way, we want to capture the decline right there when they fill out the travel profile. So if either way, we still require a signature. If they said yes or no, we require that they sign at the end this entire profile. So we capture the decline of the insurance, travel insurance at the profile. We've got some standard language here. If you have language that you've gotten from your attorney or terms and condition provider, you can include them here and modify this in your own form, in your own survey. Then we end it with the signature, and then that's the survey. So I show you this particular detailed surveys because this profile, it doesn't really matter what the situation is. You need client information. So yesterday when we talked about what is needed from a contact record versus what is wanted, there's critical information that you need about your client in order to do the booking. We've really attempted to capture that information here in the profile, but let's say there's some additional information that you want to capture. You can always add a custom field to any of the forms or surveys that we got, and all you have to do is just add a plus sign here. And you can go to custom fields. You can see all the fields that are already available here. Probably likely that we already have a field, so you can search by the type of field that you want. But if you don't find what you're looking for, you can always add a custom field of your choice here as well, if you've got something that's unique to your business or a destination that you want to track. All right, so collecting information is big business, right? Very important part of doing business in your travel business. And so again, we want to standardize the narrative. We want to standardize as much of that information as possible. So we've standardized in the survey space, we've standardized the travel request. We have a long travel request where we're asking a lot of questions. You can choose to have a short request where you're just getting maybe some very small information. So it really depends on your process. What we're teaching inside of our Opus method is that we're asking as much information up front so that when we have that discovery call, we get as much of it as much so that we're not going back and forth. You, again, may decide to have a shorter list of questions that you want to ask before you get started designing. You have the real choice to design this what makes sense for you. But again, we've got a long survey that's here. Same concept, you can build it, then you can analyze, and these are actually metrics. This is a new feature that we've just recently released where you can see how many submissions you've got, week over week, and then you can also decide this criteria. So you can do this by this year. You can see how many requests that you've got. And this looks like it's doing it week over week. I think you can also change I don't think you can. I thought you could. I don't think you can change I think this is Y axis. I always get my X and Y axis is confused, but this looks like week over week for this whole year. And you could do month, right? You could do last month, you could do last year. And again, this information is going to update in terms of your numbers. When we get into pillar 5 and we're talking about results, this is the kind of stuff you want to look at, because submissions, right? How many submissions that you get, particularly on the front end of your sales process, really will determine how well you're closing. If you're not getting a lot of submissions and you specialize in fit, you probably have something broken in your marketing, because that should be like your main metric that you are tracking, is how many submissions you get and how many conversions you are doing. So these metrics really become powerful ways for you to manage the business. So you can look at the analyzed data, and then you can also see who has submitted specifically a survey and find their information there. The other thing where you can find this, I mentioned you can find anything a person has submitted to you. You can also find that on the client record. So I'm going to go, because I've submitted a lot of surveys in the demo account as I've been doing testing and that kind of stuff. So on the right hand, so I'm in the contact record, and I am looking at all of this history, and I can see that a form was submitted here. This was a checkout form was here. I can see that this page was visited, and then I can see, the form, this is the icon for form. So I can see when I can see that the survey was submitted. And then when you click on it, this is actually, it takes you to the survey information, and you can see exactly what was here. You can download the survey data. If you ever want to download it into an Excel or a CVS, you can download the survey information as well. All right, so that is surveys, and that is the collecting of information. So my best recommendation, again, is standardize the collection. If it's repetitive information that you're doing, don't write an email asking for their passport information. Create a passport form, right? That's what we did. We created a passport form. We have an email that asks for them to fill out the form so that they can get it back to us. We've standardized that, so you don't have to do that. Now, when it comes to providing information, I want you to think about all of the texts that you write that are pretty much the same types of things, right? Maybe after somebody does a payment, after somebody goes on vacation, when they're on vacation and they're at the resort, you send them a text. Like, what's the standard process that you use to provide information? Well, during our booking workflow, we have some standards in terms of when we want to collect and provide information. And we are doing that in these increments. So once somebody has, and we've confirmed the trip, we want to communicate with our client at the 90-day, 45 days, 7-day, 1-day, day of trip, and the day after they return from the trip. And so we've got some very specific information that we're trying to collect or provide at this time of the trip. So at the 90-day mark, what we're trying to do is we're checking to see if they've filled out the passport information and the flight info. Actually, we don't do the flight until 45. So we're looking to see if they've got their passport, because at 90 days, if somebody's passport is expired, that still gives them time to not have to rush to get it done. So we're asking them to go look at their passport and go and provide that if they haven't updated or provided a passport. The system is automatically checking to see if the passport information is on file. If it is, it bypasses sending out that email about collecting the passport. If it isn't on file, we're going to ask them to provide, we'll send them the form, a link to the form. It's done via email. We send them a link and we ask them to provide their passport information. We actually send out 3 reminders over the course of 3 weeks asking them for this passport information in the event that they do not have a passport on file. At the 45-day mark, we're checking again to see if they ignored the 3 emails that we sent out. I will also tell you on day 4, if they have not filled out the passport, we send you an email that says, hey, your client doesn't have a passport on file. Do you want to do anything about that? Like, do you want to reach out to them and call them up or ask them? But we also send you. So anytime a failed action happens, we send an email internal notification to the advisor to let them know, listen, hey, we've sent out a couple of responses and there's been no response from the client, to give you the opportunity to take action if you want to take action at that point. At the 45-day mark, we are doing a similar check. We're checking again to see if the passport's there. And then if the client is doing their own flight booking, we then are asking them to provide their flight information. We try to go as far as possible, but I personally, as an advisor, do not like last minute flight information. I don't. And we actually, as a process personally inside of our agency, if I don't have flight information by the 30-day mark, they venture to lose their tour, their transfers, because I'm not going to be racing the clock trying to get their flight information to the tour operator because they haven't. We've actually had people miss their tour, their transfers, because we didn't get the right flight information and we didn't have the time to be able to check that. So we've instituted a 30-day, you need to have your flight information to us 30 days before your trip. And so at the 45-day mark, we're doing the same thing. We're checking to see who's the owner of the flight. Is it you, the advisor, or is it the client? If it's the client, we're sending them an email that says, hey, we need your flight information. And again, we're sending out repetitive emails until they provide said information. On the 7-day mark, a week before the trip, we are sending them out links to their itinerary. We're sending out their final itinerary, vouchers, anything else that we need to communicate, special instructions, you name it, that is included in that email. We have made those all as fields so that you can update that if you've got special instructions that you want to send to your client for a trip. You can update that field in the trip record, and then that will also propagate to the email that we send out to them on the 7-day mark. You have space for a URL to put a itinerary URL there, so then they can click that link. If you want to do vouchers, however you want to do your itinerary, we keep a space for you to put that information there. That 7-day email goes out 7 days before the start of the trip, and then we send out the same type of information the day before. I think I was just saying that I get about 150 emails a day. And that's like on a slow day. Like on the bad day, it's like 200 plus emails that I'm getting a day. So I would love to have my itinerary come the day before, so I don't have to go search my inbox for where it is in the event I haven't printed it out and I'm doing something last minute. So with that in mind, we're doing the same thing for our clients. So we send out the itinerary again the day before. We're using the same URL, same language that goes out in the 7-day mark. 0-day, we're sending an email out to check on how things are with the client. How are things with their accommodations? Let them also know if there's any way, if they need to contact us and what the emergency process is, they have a path to do that. And then the day after the trip, we send out an email. And then if you've created a survey, a after trip survey, we can include that link to the survey in that email. This is standard sort of communication, collection and providing of information. You can add to these automations at any time. You don't have to utilize just these. If you want to change up the language in those emails, you can change them. You can change the forms. All of that is accessible to you in the system. I'm going to show you these workflows. Actually, I think we're going to review that at the end. So I'm going to show you what these actual emails and where they live in the system. I'll show you where you can modify those and make changes to them. And I recommend, we have about, in this phase, I think we have about 22 different emails, maybe 23, somewhere less than 30 different emails that go out. I do recommend, they're short reads or not, but again, they're professionally written emails, but you may want to say some additional stuff. You may want to include attachments. Whatever you may want to do special for your business, we don't give you a blank slate. We have a starting point, and those are already set up for you. So you can edit those emails directly, and it's not going to break anything if you edit the emails directly. All right. And again, if you guys have any questions, don't hesitate to just put those in chat. Then the next communication method. So I mentioned that people like to read stuff. That's emails, right? But they also may want to meet with you. So at the 7-day mark, one of the things that we do inside of our travel business is we invite our clients to, if they need to schedule a follow-up call with us, they can. So we have a calendar that's scheduled that is dedicated just for the follow-up call. And so we include a link to our follow-up call in that 7-day mark. So in the event that they've got some last minute things they want to talk to us about, they can schedule that. So what we want to do is make sure that your calendar availability is set. The worst thing in the world could be if somebody's trying to schedule a call, they look at their email in the middle of the night and then they send me an email. I'd rather them just book the call and I wake up to the appointment than wake up to an email and then try to coordinate a time to meet. So what you can do in the system, there are 2 calendars that we provide for you outside of the system, inside of the system when you get your account. And the 2 calendars are your discovery call, which we do during the travel request process. And then we also have the follow-up call. So when you go to calendar settings, what you're going to see is you're going to see these 2 calendars that are available. You're going to see the discovery call and the discovery call follow-up. These calendars are already here for you. You don't have to create them, but you do need to activate them, and you do need to actually configure the availability associated with your based on your calendar. And then you also need to integrate them with any of your personal calendars so people don't overbook you. So to do that, I'm just going to go into the discovery call. You can see that the status of these are active. When you get your account, the status of these are inactive. When you go through onboarding, your onboarding specialist will help you configure the calendar. But if you ever need to go through and edit the calendar, you can. So I'm just going to go in and I'm going to edit the calendar, and these are the features that you will be going through. So the meeting details, you can change the name of this. Like I have several clients that don't call it discovery call. They call it, I can't remember, one of my clients has a really cool name for her call that she, trip. I can't, it just, the minute I get off this training, I'll remember, but she's a really unique name for her discovery call. And so you can call the discovery call whatever you want. You don't have to keep the name. This again is a numbering system that we use. So you don't feel any kind of way. If you want to change this name, you can. It doesn't have to stay the same. Description here, You can expand upon this description and give it a more unique description if you want. I've got advisors who like to put their logo here or a picture of themselves here, and you can do it. Just look at what the image size requirements are. Just follow that, and then you can upload an image of yourself or a logo. The URL, if for some reason you want to change the widget, you can do that. It just needs to be unique. Here, this contact name that you see here, this is going to pull in the name of the client who books the trip when they're in the travel request, or if they do a follow, it'll pull in their name for them. So you want to keep that so it sort of personalizes it when we send out the appointment reminders for you. So really the thing that you're going to really make some changes to is your availability. When are you available for appointments? So, you know, I am a blocker. I am a time blocker. And so I don't like doing appointments every day. I mentally, it's disruptive to my workday. So when I'm in appointment mode, I like to know that these are my appointment days and these are the appointment days that I'm available. So I create that window, that block of window for me to meet with clients, handle issues that deal with clients or what have you. And so maybe that's what you want to do as well. I am not the person that believes that you need to make yourself available for appointments 24/7. I think it's unrealistic. And, you know, I tell you guys all the time that your number one job is to market. And your second job is to sell, and third is to service. And so I can't possibly do all of the stuff that is required in my business if I'm on calls all day long. Don't get me wrong, calls are very important to the process, but I'm not available for calls all day long. So again, remember, you don't have to make yourself, like I've got people who have their calendar open 8 to 12 at night, or 8 to 8. I'm like, why would you do that? So don't do it to yourself. Create a business that you love. If you love calls, then do it. By all golly, do it. If not, and you only want to make yourself available for a certain amount of time, train your clients, train yourself to create availability, stick to that availability, and then force people into that availability. You can do payments. If you want to do payments for your appointments, you can set up payments for your appointments. And then the notifications here, we've got automation that really automatically takes a look at the appointments that you have and sends out email reminders and all of that here. But you can use the embedded notification for Google, or if you choose here, we choose to actually send out emails that actually, hard at specific times, like immediately when they get they schedule the appointment, the day of the appointment, an hour before the appointment, we're sending out reminders. So again, repetition is what we're doing here. This customization is if you want to customize, but really what the real message that I want to give you here in the calendar setup is you just want to make sure that you set up your calendar for your availability, because that is a communication. One less thing that you have to coordinate with your clients if you set up your availability proper. All right, that is the calendar items. So let me just go over. So that was the setup, but let me also talk to you a little bit about what you can do here. What you see here is I've connected my calendar, and where am I supposed to be? Anyone who's ever worked with me knows that if it's not on my calendar, it doesn't exist. So I put everything on my calendar. I put my workshops, I put everything on my calendar. So you can see I've got all this time blocked time too. So this represents, unavailability for people to book for me because I want it here. So you can integrate your calendar so that people cannot overbook you here on your availability. So like, let's say you have a doctor's appointment and your normal time is 3 to 5 and you get an appointment at 3 o'clock. You can put 3 o'clock on your personal calendar and then connect it here so that, again, it doesn't someone doesn't schedule over that time. So we can manage, and we connect to Google. We connect to Microsoft 360 or your Microsoft Outlook calendar. And then we also connect to your Apple calendar. So we do that out of the gate. And then any appointments that you have, this is where you can see all of your appointment hub and all of that. You can see all of your appointments here. And then you can also see, so these are all the appointments that have been scheduled. You can also see the appointments at the contact record. So Again, if we go back to this contact record, and I know that I have some appointments that I've scheduled because I just saw them. And I could have went straight from, actually, let me just show you. You can go, I think if you click on the, when you're on the appointments and you click on the name, it'll take you to the contact record. So it'll take you straight to the contact record. And then right here underneath appointments, you can see all appointments that a person has had with you in the history. And then you can also add an appointment from this page as well. All right, so appointments are super important as a part of the communication. It's a method to communicate information with your clients. So then the other thing, this is really not communication, so to speak, as much as I just want to make sure that you guys understand that we have two workflows where communication potentially is happening on your behalf or as a part of the process. And so what we're talking about this week is the client booking process. Pillar 1 talks about the travel request process. And so we also have these two workflows and stages that communication possibility is occurring. So in the client booking workflow, when somebody when they make a payment on a group trip, they show up in this phase. If they have approved a proposal, they'll show up in the trip approve awaiting trip information phase. So depending on how they enter in, we automatically add them into your pipeline. This is called a pipeline workflow. And then we can move people manually, or you can let the system move things manually automatically for you. The only manual ask that we have you do is move somebody from awaiting trip to booking confirmation, because I don't know when you actually book with your supplier. So when you book with your supplier, once you move it automatically, it will then kick off all of the timeline items. So the clock starts ticking, so to speak. So once this gets moved into this phase, what happens is the person all of the trip dates will start to set. We'll know when the 90-day is, we'll know when the 45-day is, 7, and all of that. And all of those automations will trigger at the appropriate time. You do not need to move the record to the 90-day mark or any of the future marks. It automatically will move there based on the start date of the trip. So that's one of the workflows that we have out of the box for you. And then I'm not going to go over the travel request workflow, but we do have a travel request workflow with phases associated with the travel request process as well. So really, the main message here is communication is happening all along the journey, right? A lot of it we've tried to automate for you, particularly because it's the same type of standard type of information that you want to do. We went to Cuba last year, and Cuba was just a little bit different than the standards. So we ended up creating a customized Cuba flow because one of the things that we do as a part of our Cuba package is that we actually get the visa for our clients, and that's a part of the payment. And so we need to validate information before that. So we need the passport information, we need the picture, and then we need to get there's a form that we have to fill out. So we've added that as a part of our email communications that go out. And I think we got 90, we do 45-day communication. And then we also, for my trips, I have not released this to you all, but for my trips in our agency, we have a 30-day communication because we do a virtual meet and greet. So we send out 30 days before the trip, we're sending out an email to invite them to our virtual meet and greet. We have a calendar for the virtual meet and greet. People can join, they automatically get enrolled into that, and they get all of the communications associated with that. So the only ones that we are not using right now is the 180-day and 30. These are available for you. You can add additional. If you want to send out, you want to have more workflow stages you want to track, you can add those as well. All right, and then the last thing we already went over the review forms and surveys. I sort of went a little bit ahead. So what I want to do now is talk to you about templates and what we have out of the box for you, and then your ability to create templates for your own in the form of email and text message templates. And also, we're then going to go over chatbot. So let's get to that part. All right, so in our marketing phase, one of the things that you can do is under marketing and email templates. Again, you're going to see the same folder structure. We've got templates for each one of these phases already available for you. So in the client booking, how many did I say? I said 20 something. Let's see if I remember the number right. So I think we have 22, 23. I just added a couple of, does it show? This camera can't see. Doesn't show. Oh, let me get into the folder. 22. We have 22. I was right. So we have 22 email templates already available to you inside of our client booking. And so again, these are emails that go out to the client at the different stages or phases of their journey, and you can edit them. So I'm just going to open up this 90-day email so you can see what the email says. So we're already pulling in your logo. So as long as you, at the time of setup, you put your logo image in here, we're pulling in your logo. We also have the standard footer that you need to have just from an email compliance perspective. That's here. We're also automatically pulling in your passport URL as long as you've updated the custom values. So these are things that we've already done. So you don't need to go in this here in this section and put the URL behind this button. It's already done for you. The language of the email is already done. So if you want to add anything to the email, you're more than welcome to add anything to the email content. We already have a signature that's pulling in from your signature from the system. So all of this again is done for you. We have email templates for every phase of the workflow. So we have client booking, we have travel requests, we have depending if it's a group trip, depending on payments, we have all of these templates already thought through. You can always see what the email is going to look like. So this isn't pulling in the person's name because there isn't a person. This is a template. I don't have a template, but if I were to send this out, it would pull my name in, the person's first name here. But this is what the email is going to look like. You can make this as fancy as you want. This is pretty vanilla, meaning the background doesn't have any images. You can change the color of the images. You can add images. You can add video embeds. You can do all sorts of fun stuff with templates. So templates are really great for visual representation of information. We use templates because I also wanted a central location to modify all of the content that we give you out of the box, but you can create emails from a contact. You can create emails inside of an automation. All of that can be done here, but we use templates as a standard way to just deliver the content to you all. Again, my recommendation is that you just quickly review these emails. And again, if you want to ever edit anything, you can, like I mentioned, you can change the background color of this. Like, so this is white. If I wanted this to be purple, I can make that purple. I could make the whole section purple. I can do any and all of that. I'm not going to save this because this is one of our versions that we use to send out. So you can add an element to, it's very much, the templates is very much like a website builder. So you can just drag and drop sections and then add what you want in those sections. So all of that. So you have all these types of elements that you can add to an email. You can add an image, a button, you can add social media, logo. We've already added your logo and footer for you. You can add, if you want somebody to pay for something inside of your email, you can do that as well. You can add video, custom code. You can make it 2 columns, 3 columns. There's really any way you think of it, we can do it in terms of creating a template that looks visually appealing to you. All right, we are not going to save that. Okay, so that's emails. We have the same thing for SMS templates. Now, when we built the system, we did not really focus too much on creating text message templates. So we don't have a lot of text message templates available. But what I will tell you is that if you are a heavy texter, or you know that your clients are texters, it's a very simple thing to do. I do a lot of texting in our marketing, not so much in communication. I do a lot of texting for marketing, but when I do, what lends me to build a SMS template is when I'm having to say the same thing over and over again. Like, one of the things that is a really good use case for text messaging is, let's say you've got, like, one of the things I did, an opt-in offer. I had a guide, right? And I wanted people to download the guide. And so in our automation, one of the things that we did was we verified that the person received the guide. We did an if-then statement and all of that, and we did it via text. So we said, hey, did you receive the guide? And we would get a lot of people, they're like, no, we didn't get it. And so I had a standard SMS text that just replied, that it replied, no worries, here's the link. So I gave it directly to them. It was like, it just saved me time. I didn't have to worry about doing manually writing it out, finding the link and doing that. So standardizing your text messages is really a good opportunity to do that here. Adding a template is pretty easy. You just click on add snippet. You can add a text template or a email snippet. This is good. So snippets are like small pieces. So if you find yourself in conversations and you're replying the same thing over and over again, you may want to create yourself an email snippet, which is a small reply, which is not going to be a large template. So snippets are really great. I like them. I like to do them for email and for text messaging. So we have the ability to do that. I'm not going to go over trigger links, as it's a little bit more of an advanced topic. And then we do have an affiliate manager, and that's something we'll go over in another training. All right, so really the idea here is for you to make sure that you review your templates, decide if you have any SMS templates that you want to create, and then you create them. The idea is to automate as much of the messaging as you can up front so that you don't have to do it later or you don't have to forget. We've done a lot of the heavy lifting when it comes to communication in terms of standard communication. What I'd love for you all to really be thinking about is, what are some of the common things that you do on a day-to-day basis that isn't in the system, because that becomes an opportunity for you to automate it. I am not going to show you like all of the idiosyncrasies on how to create an automation. I've got some separate training for that. But what I will tell you is, inside of this automation feature is where you will find all of the done for you automations that we have created. So in client booking alone, we have all of these automations that are updating client information, tagging clients, sending out the 90, 45, 7, 1, and 0-day trips, checking to see if the deposit is made to move them into the trip workflows. All of this is already designed for you, not really necessary for you to modify that. Usually if people do modify it, as they've done it at, they've scheduled some time with me specifically, maybe in office hours, and then they've asked a question and they've got a unique scenario that they want to do that. But out of the box, these automations are here. And not only that, you get the opportunity to create your own automations of your own. So if you've got custom workflows, and workflow really is just a simple fancy word of automating steps. It's a series of steps that you want to be done on your behalf. So if you're doing something over and over and over again, you got to ask yourself, is there an opportunity to automate it? I'm going to give you like a really cool automation I just did the other day. I do videos. So like this video training, I'm going to download this video training, and I'm not using our system to do this particular workflow because I'm using other tools outside of it. But I'm just going to give you an example of a great workflow. When I download this video and I put it in a folder, it automatically creates tasks for my VA to go do all the stuff that I want her to do. I don't have to do that anymore. Great automation internal to the system. Let's say you've got a group trip, and when you're doing a group trip and you've got to communicate with your suppliers, the first thing that they're going to ask you at the time closer to the trip is give me a list of everybody's flight information, everybody's, arrival date and time, and all of that, right? We're getting ready to do a group. Same thing I got to do. I got to give them all of the people, got to see what their occupancy is, and I'm going to do that. We can automatically in an automation send that to a Google Sheet. If you define the layout of the Google Sheet, we can auto populate that as people are buying into the trip. That's a really great use case that the system can automate for you. So you don't have to download, you don't have to, copy and paste people's names to it. You can just create that automation. That's something that's repetitive. I want you to really think about your day. Many of you guys don't have admins. Many of you may have admins and you're trying to think about, I know I need an admin, but I don't know what to give the admin to do. These kinds of things are great to give the admin to help you set up the automations, to help validate that the automations are working, to test that the automations are doing what you want, to create email templates, to edit your email templates. These are great tasks for admins to do. And then these are great things for you to understand that you don't have to do it all yourself. You can automate what you can if it's repetitive. Probably 80% of the time we can automate a repetitive task and get it off your plate, and or at least remind you that you need to do it on your plate. All right, so that takes care of, I'm going to pause because that was a lot. Any questions, comments, thoughts? No, quiet bunch. All right, let's go to chatbots.
Like, oh, hey.
Oh, yes. I move quickly. I'm like,
Yeah,
I give you 2 seconds
very
to
quick,
ask.
very quick.
Sorry.
Because I know earlier this afternoon we talked about the groups.
Yeah,
And so I
community.
just had a question. If you have like the community group, will it pull in the same people for your community from the trip, the client information? Like,
Yes and no. So the community feature is a part of our system, but it's not integrated with like it's not pulling in the trip information and making it available in the community. Is that your question?
Well, mainly like the client profile. So if I've got a client that's already booked a trip, would they still need to then fill in an additional profile in the community, or will it pull like their name, email, phone number into the community as well? So this way, when I'm emailing them, it's not duplicated, or do they have to like then when they join the community fill in that information again?
Now, so I've got something even better. So let's say you have a client and you want them to automatically be added to the community. We can build that an automation that as they get to a stage, we automatically give them access to the community so they don't have to fill it. Now they do have to set their own password, but we can make that an automation. Does that make sense?
Awesome.
Yes. So it's called grant group access. That's one of the steps in the automation. So let's say for your group trips, they do the deposit, or maybe it's a proposal. They approve the proposal. We can create a separate automation, and and I can absolutely teach you all how to do that. Create a separate automation, and the trick, like I said, the trigger would be proposal approved. Next step would be grant access to your group equal to whatever the name of your community is.
Oh, fabulous, fabulous. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Great question. That was a really good question. All right, so then what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a chat bot. And so this is another way for you to communicate with your clients, prospective clients, and get information. So we have 3 types of chat bots that you can do. You can do, I'm going to do a new one. You can do, and this is really the one that I recommend for most people on their website, is that they have a chatbot that collects their name and their phone number and email address is what we do in this chatbots. And what this chatbot will do is simply somebody can, it'll be right here at the bottom part of the screen. And at the bottom part of the screen, what will happen is they will, when we select this chat bot here, I'm actually going to show you, it's very easy to set up, but I'm just going to show you one. I think I did a sample chat bot the other day when I was doing training. And so we can, this is what, can you guys see this on the bottom? This chat bot here. So when I clicked on it, it's not showing up in the pop-up, is it? Oh, there it is. Okay. So when you click on it, it's showing you exactly what it looks like. So we designed the chatbot. It's bringing in my favicon. This is the question. It's going to capture the name, mobile, email, and then the message. And then we're just letting people know. When you collect somebody's phone number as a standard, what you want to make sure is that you're having them opt in to receive text message. That's I don't know if it's a law, but it's definitely a requirement for FCC when you submit your application for doing business texting. So you want to make sure that people physically opt in for the text message and then send the message. This bot that I've created will automatically, when somebody sends the message, it'll show up in the message tab. It'll create a contact record. If they are new to your business, it'll automatically create a contact record for you. You can install this for your WordPress site, or you can actually get the code and install it on your website. Doesn't have to be a website that we're hosting. If we are hosting your website or funnel, it's really just a turn on and turn off feature that you can do inside of your funnel. So I have this funnel, this chat widget. It's called Sample Chat. I'm going to show you here how I can make this chat visible inside of a funnel that we've built inside of the system. So I'm going to go to one of our funnels, and I'm going to go to one of our group trip funnels here. I'm going to go to this one. I don't know which funnel this is, but I'm going to go to settings. And then I'm going to go to this chat widget here, and I'm going to turn on the sample chat. So you can have multiple different chats for different reasons, and then you can make them available inside of your sales pages or inside of your website. You can do that. And so I like to have the idea of having separate chat widgets for, like, so for example, I think having a chat bot for my destinations would be great, because if someone's on, like, this is a destination page, I'm going to save this. I can then create an automation for anyone who like sees this page and they see this, right? And they give me their information. I know that this came from this chat bot, and then I can then get them into a destination specific automation. So it's a way of doing an opt-in, sort of an opt-in, but really I'm going to customize it for this particular sales page and destination. So everybody who sends me a message here will get into whatever this page is about. So you can create multiple chat bots, use them in multiple different ways. And that's really kind of the power of here. Another communication method that you have. This particular bot, if I were going to do a bot on a sales page, this, the question would I would have it be more specific. I'd be like, do you have a question about Bali? When are you going to Bali, or something like that? And then you can answer. But again, you can design these bots to say or ask whatever you want it to do. We do have the ability to, and I will let you know this, not really done a lot of training on this because I'm really just trying to get you guys acclimated to some basics, but we do have the ability to integrate with ChatGPT, and it's called Content AI, or I think it's called Content AI. But here, this chatbot will integrate and actually have a conversation based on inputs that the person is doing. This is a bit of an advanced functionality, can do appointment setting, can do a lot of different things. I will probably start to train on this sometime in the end of the year, beginning of next year, because again, this is a little bit more advanced and not everybody is ready for this, but we do have the ability to interact with ChatGPT and have two-way conversations via a chat bot. And then we also have the ability to do a chat bought with WhatsApp. WhatsApp is an additional cost associated with this part of the system, and that's because Facebook charges it. And so we really try to keep the cost down low. But if you want to integrate with Facebook WhatsApp and then integrate with and have a chat widget on here, you can do that as well. So we pretty much have gone over every type of communication channel that you can think of. I'm trying to think, the only thing we don't do is smoke signals. So other than that, we've got you covered. I'm going to leave it open. I'm going to stop sharing, leave it open up for some questions before we end tonight. Sneak peek at what you can look at for tomorrow is, again, we're going to talk about traffic. How do we get eyes on these different communication channels? What are some strategies to do that? And with that, I'll leave it open to answer some questions. No questions? Everybody's good? You know, I'm really quick on the draw.
Hey, Sundey, this is Tabitha. I didn't even have a question, but I just wanted to say that, you know, the system is very robust, and this is probably my third time with you, and we've covered different areas of it. It's truly amazing of all the capabilities of the platform itself. So, again, great product. I like what I see.
I am so glad to hear that, Tabitha. So, you know, we've spent probably the betterment of the year really customizing this tool for travel advisors. And, you know, there's a lot that can be done, and it can be a bit overwhelming, I think, for advisors. And so my recommendation for you, all-in-one, is just that. It does all that it can do and more. Don't try and bite it all off at one chunk. This is not a what is that saying? This is not a race, this is a marathon. So, you know, you do not need to get every single thing set up in your system. That is not the critical path. There are some items in the system that I think are very critical for you to get set up initially. Primarily, that's going to be get your travel requests so that you can accept custom fits in the event that you do fits. If you do group trips, get your group trips, but make sure you understand the group trip process. Make sure you have payment set up. Make sure that you understand the communication with your clients once they've made a booking. Make sure you know how to do the quotes and get the proposals done. That's critical path. And then I'd move to marketing. You know, what am I going to do about the website? What kind of sales funnels am I going to do to get traffic? Those are sort of the secondary things. But right now, get the base of the system working for you. Make sure you understand it. We have so much support available for you all. So between myself and my team, we want to see you be successful. And the death of that success is taking on too much at one time. Just do it in small chunks and ask for help every single time you need it. Like, don't ever think it's too much. Every single time you need help, reach out. Reach out to our help team, and they are trained to be your first line of defense. And they are trained to come to me in the event that they can't answer a question.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. Hi, Sugar.
Hey, Sundey, yeah, me again. Yes, and like Tabitha said, like it's really amazing what you've built here. Like, I'm complete newbie, and there's so much information being like thrown at me, but nothing that I've come across is so concise that has everything all in one place. I would think like, oh, I'm gonna have to sign up over here, and I'm gonna have to sign up over there, and then do this and that. And it's like, so love that everything is just in one place.
Yes.
I had a question about the calendar. So would it work? Because you said it integrates with like the Google and the Outlook calendars. So let's say I'm saying, okay, I'll accept appointments Tuesdays from 11 to 7.
Yep.
But then before somebody books that time, I find out like I've got a personal appointment that I need to put in there. and I put what, as long as it's in my Google Calendar or Outlook calendar, will it automatically see that and then block that off?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. I don't have to go into this
You
system
have to
to
go
do, I can
into
just
our
move.
calendar and block it off. So what we just need to make sure, and one of the things that you're going to want to test is we will help you get the integration of your personal calendar into the system, but you're going to want to test that. And so I always have our members test that block, like block off your personal calendar, look at the calendar and make sure that it's not showing opening up time. And we have on some occasions found some conflicts between like Outlook and Gmail, and like people have got like 15 different calendars and I can't connect to all of them. So I just say test it. That's the best advice, is to test it. We can do it, just test it.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's a great question that Sugar had mentioned. Is there a capability if you had like a Gmail and an Outlook to do both of them, or is there, like you said, you can't possibly connect to all of them, but can you do two different calendars?
Yes, I believe the answer to that is yes. And the reason why I say I believe is because I have had situations where people have Gmail and then they also have Office 360. And off the top of my head, I cannot remember what the conflict is. There is a conflict. I just don't remember what it is, Tabitha. So if you get on the trial, we get it connected and we have to do some testing. I promise you'll come back to me. I just don't remember what the issue was, because I have several clients who have both calendars. They have Outlook and they have Gmail. And there's a setting that we have to make sure gets the conflict is I think the personal calendar is okay. It's what do I schedule to? Like I can't schedule to both of the calendars. I have to pick one. I think that's exactly what it is in the staff record. You have to pick which calendar you want to use to book to. Scheduling conflicts, I think we can look at two calendars, but we have to book to one calendar. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. Basically have a default calendar.
That's right. We have a default calendar. You have to pick either Google or Gmail. We can't do both, but I'm almost positive we can sync to both of them.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. This is always fun. I love meeting with you all directly and talking to you all and having these conversations. And as always, if anything does come out, do not hesitate to reach out to me. I'm going to, if we don't have any more questions, I will see you guys same time, same bat channel tomorrow, where we will wrap up the rest of our workshop, and I will see you then. For those who are joining me in VIP, I will see you in 7 minutes on the VIP link. Talk to you tomorrow.